Do you remember this blade that I forged? It was an amazing blade that sold for $10,000, but my customer got a hold of me and said that he wants another one, but this time he wants it to be light, nimble, and fast. So today that's exactly what we're gonna make. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today is episode 1 of turning this design into a usable, functional, lightweight blade. Today we're going to make the Damascus billet according to the design, and we're going to draw it out into a usable bar stock. So let's get to it. Well, before you get upset at the temperature, all we're doing right now is bringing it up just enough so that it's malleable, but it's still below that oxidation point. So we'll squish out any of those gaps, flux it, bring it up a little bit higher, squish it one more time so there's no gaps in there, and then flux it again, bring it all the way up to temperature, and do that first forge row. Okay, so that 20-layer billet is drawn out. Now we need to cut it in 3 places, stack it again, which will triple the layers, and then draw it out one more time, cut it in half, fold it again, which will give us 120 layers total. This part is pretty tricky because though I do love my 12-ton press, it's a little bit underpowered for this, but someday I'll be able to afford an upgrade, but not yet. So there's a lot of monkeying around to try to keep it from forging cold shuts in, which at one point you'll see it fish slips on both ends, and so I gotta cut those off, but at some point I'll upgrade to a press that can handle some bigger billets. Okay, so now let's talk about this pattern and why we're going to include this piece. What we have here is a center core billet that I'm making in order to accomplish the lightning storm style of pattern that I'm going for. We have 2 pieces of 15N20 on either side, and then a center core of 1095 doubled up. When you put 2 pieces of the same kind together, that's called the Hata technique. And the reason we're doing that is to increase the thickness of the individual layers. Here's why. When you draw out your billet, you cut and stack it to double the layer count, and then you continue, and therefore when you get enough layers you can manipulate it however you want it. So what we're doing with this blade is a little bit different. We're going to cut our billet into stacks, 2 separate stacks, and combine them into 120 layers, and in the center we're going to put this. So that what that does is it causes a nice clean border that we can then work with. If we took this pattern and then drew it out, it would look a little something like this. You would have your Damascus jackets, which is a poorly rendered version of that, with a strong stripe here of the 15N20, and then a very dark 1095 edge. But what we're going to do is a little bit different. We're doubling up that 15 in 20 to give it more mass to draw it out by hammering it. Now normally you wouldn't want to really distort that pattern so much, but because we're going for a storm theme, that's exactly what we want to do. So when we have the billet like this, and we hammer in those bevels really aggressively, we stretch those bevels out. So you have your Damascus jackets, and then you have your 15 in 20 that's being drastically stretched out. And because it's so thick, because we're using the Hada technique, it stretches it out even more aggressively, which is exactly what we did with that storm blade that I showed you earlier. So what's going to happen then is we're going to have our final look with a bevel here with a really strong pattern, and then our bevels are going to be kind of like this also with a really strong pattern, and then our Damascus jackets completed with some fullers. So in order to accomplish this, we need to add this piece, draw it out into a usable billet, and then hammer out that details with a hammer. Okay, so at this point, the billet is nice and solid. We have 120 layers with technically 3 extra layers because of the Hada technique in the middle. And we're ready to draw it out into a blade now. We have it super thick, so we have plenty of room to manipulate it and draw it out to the specifications that we wanted, like we were saying, to make that pattern nice and dramatic. But honestly, this is just the beginning. Thanks for watching episode 1. Next episode, hopefully next Monday, we're going to include the next portion, which is finishing stretching out that billet, hammering out the profile, grinding it, and then getting it heat treated. So subscribe. Stay tuned for next time. Here we go. It is heat treated. And welcome back, everyone. It's episode 2 of turning this 120 layer billet of Storm Damascus into a blade for my customer. Let's heat up the forge, hammer this thing out. Before we do, let's get a little sneak peek of what we have for this pattern. So we're gonna grind this a little bit, clean it up, and then really make it pop by doing a test etch. So I immediately forgot to do that because I like forging so much. So check it out, let's keep forging. Now, it's important to remember that we are using the drawing dies to draw it out longer. But remember, we have a specific pattern that we're trying to accomplish that needs to be drawn out by the hammer to stretch those pieces of 15 in 20. So the only way to accomplish that is to now stretch it out this way, which will then make it less of a tall profile, but then give us some meat to stretch it out with a hammer. So before we go much further, let's make sure we do that. It's looking pretty good if you ask me. It is just a plain billet, plain bar that we've drawn out to the length that I need to work on the next step. And what is that next step, you may ask? Well, I want to forge in the tip, and then from there, with this little extra meat we have, draw out that belly to give it that lightning storm look that we are going for right there. And then this is a little extra thick so that I can still stretch it out to be a little bit longer, and then forge in the tang as well, because it's going to be a through tang pinned over on the other side. So let's go ahead and work on that tip. The more that we forge out the bevels, the more it stretches that steel backwards. So it stretches out that pattern, but it curves it, which we don't want. So we need to work back and forth, laying out the spine, flattening the spine, forging out those bevels more. Remember, the design of a blade is very angular and sharp and strong, and it's got some strong lines to it. So I'm going to basically establish the shape of the blade, and then because it's so thick, it'll give me a little room to draw out that spine, but then stretch it out for the full length that we want. All right, check it out so far. Looking pretty good. This is no grinder at all, not just yet. Just hammer work, which is already looking pretty good. It's nice and light, and once we clean it up on the grinder, it'll be even more lightweight and nimble, and then we'll be ready for the heat treat. So, let's get to it. So I chose to do a hollow grind, 1, because I really like the look and it gives a better cut, 2, and 3, it helps to bring out some of the weight of the blade as opposed to a concave or a flat grind. And this blade is meant to be lightweight, quick, nimble, easy to manipulate. So by bringing that hollow grind nice and deep all the way up to the fullers, what will happen with that is it'll bring the weight from the tip of the blade more to the handle, and then we'll have a nice thin profiled guard and pommel, which will make it more weighted in the hand. Now, we don't want it too much weighted to the hand, but we do want it to be nice and balanced. So the length of the blade plus a deep fuller and a nice deep hollow grind the whole way through will make this a very nimble blade. Okay, I like it. Huh? Look at that. Yeah. It is under 2 pounds right now for a 21-inch blade and about a 1-inch ricasso. And the tang, she is ready for heat treat. Now remember, heat treat is 3 different steps. 1, normalizing. 2, scares me every time, quenching. 3, tempering. So let's normalize it. So what is normalizing, you might ask? Or you might not, I don't know. I'm not there in the room with you. But I'm going to tell you what it is. Normalizing, or thermal cycling, is the process of heating the blade up and letting it cool. Now, what's the difference between doing that and when you're in the forge? Well, what happens is when you're forging, as you heat the blade up, the grain structure expands. And then it slightly shrinks as it cools. And then you heat it right back up because you're forging. And then it expands again. And then it expands again. And so over the course of forging out a blade, the grain structure gets very, very coarse. Kind of like a brown sugar kind of texture. So when you're normalizing or thermal cycling, you are heating it back up. And then you're letting it cool slowly. Cool to touch. Which slowly shrinks it. It's a very tight, even grain structure. And the reason that we want that is we want the grain structure to be tight and even so that it's strong, because the coarser that it is, the more likely it is to break even after tempering. Now, what we're gonna do, hopefully you can hear me all right, fresh out of the heat, it's still slightly malleable. So what we're gonna do to optimize it is lay it down on this wood, and as it's cooling, we're gonna clamp it between 2 pieces of wood that allow for a little bit of the extra geometry that a blade like this has, a little bit of flex. It's a trick I picked up through the years. And now this will squeeze it and help it to cool evenly, and it'll help it to avoid warps. It still scares me. Here we go. It is heat treated. So we tempered it at 425 for about 2 hours. It is flexible, and you can see it still needs some cleanup on the lines, but we did the rough grinding. We'll clean up that fuller, we'll clean up the hollow grind we're doing, and it is 1.7 pounds right now. It'll be a little bit lighter, the blade itself, once I'm done grinding it. I was shooting for 1.6 plus the fittings, but so far so good. Now, next time, of course, not only are we going to polish this, we're going to just show that etch, bring it out in some ferric chloride, and then we'll do a coffee etch as well, and then we'll do the handle and finally piece it all together and test it. So make sure you stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching. Here is that etch. Welcome back to the final episode. Let's not waste any time. This blade has been tempered, and now it is ready to be polished up so that we can reveal its Damascus pattern. Let's get right to it. Working our way through the grits of the belts here. I started at about 24 grit, and now I'm working my way all the way up to 400 in prep for hand sanding. Oh yeah, this bad boy's really coming along. I just gotta do the other side. then we can test etch it. Nice deep hollow grind to keep this blade light, to keep it fast, and so that the cuts are nice and clean. It causes less friction while you're cutting, but it makes the edge a little bit more delicate. So there's a fine balance with the geometry. In between, you got to keep it nice and cool, otherwise you'll overheat it and potentially wreck that temper that you worked so hard on. So let's make sure we don't do that. For higher end blades like this, you gotta do a hand sanding. There is just no beating the look of a hand sanded blade. So that's why we brought it all the way up to about 400 grit on the belt sander, so that then we drop it down to about 220 grit when I'm hand sanding, and I work out all of those lines. It's a slow, tedious process, but we get all the scratches out, bring it to a clean satin finish, so that when we polish it for the etch, it is a beautiful design without any issues. But it's a lot of elbow grease, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, she's a little dirty still, but we'll hit her with some soap. And then we'll put her in that etch. And we will see exactly how that pattern turned out. Fair warning, the continuity on this video is going to be abysmal because I have kids. And I got a new microphone, so we're going to try this out and see how it sounds. But here is that etch. I am so very happy with how the polish came out and that pattern came out, making it look like a lightning bolt running down the entire blade of this 120 layer jacketed Damascus blade. I am so very happy with it, but it's not complete unless it has a handle. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give it a handle. So what kind of materials are we going to use for the handle? Well, for the guard and for the pommel, I've chosen this piece of mild steel, and we're going to be using slices of this guy, which is also this is a medium carbon. And so we're just going to slice off some pieces and use that for the pommel. Yeah, that's all I have to say. There's something I didn't tell you. My customer didn't ask for one of these. My customer asked for two of these. Oh, you probably want to see the blades, huh? They're both 1.14 pounds, 120 layer, jacketed, storm Damascus pattern. And they are a dream to wield. But don't take my word for it. Let's go test it. And there you go, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this 3-part series. But let me know what you think. Let me know how you think it turned out, what we should do next time. I have some more orders coming up where I'm going to be doing more just like this. If you liked it, well, of course, I got to say subscribe. We do all kinds of stuff. We're going to be doing a lot more. But seriously, thank you so much for watching, guys. It helps me out so much. And I just really like doing it. So what a blessing to take care of my family with what I do.